Welcome back to Shanghai International Circuit in China, the home of the Chinese Formula One Grand Prix for the 12th race of the 2019 F3 Asian Championships certified by FIA. We'll shortly be underway with the action. So far, though, it's been all Ukyo Sasahara. Fastest qualifier, fastest lap, which gave him pole position for the second race. We just saw the highlights. Very much deja vu over the opening race. Very shortly, we'll talk to him, no doubt, Daniel Cao and Ukyo Sasahara's 2019 high-tech Grand Prix teammate and title rival, Jack Doohan, down there on the grid with Feline. Weather is beautiful. It's in the low 30s. Humidity not too bad. Track temperatures starting to get high. Tyre degradation has been a concern this weekend. We had some wet sessions in practice. That gave the teams with a bit more experience around this circuit a bit more advanced knowledge, and that, of course, was the Absolute Racing team, who have a base here at Shanghai Circuit. There is the calendar. We started way back in early April in Sepang, off to Buriram in Thailand, Suzuka in Japan last time out, and this weekend is the first of two weekends, 3 weeks apart, both of them back-to-back at Shanghai to round out the second season of the F3 Asian Championships certified by FIA. Let's head down to the grid, and we will no doubt... well, actually, we can't head down to the grid just yet because there's no cars. They're still out there on their out lap, just getting themselves organised. No one on the grid yet, apart from the crews. Well, there's the first one. Looks like the colours of Ishan Piris, Sri Lankan driver. Had a tough opening race despite a strong qualifying effort. Had a spin partway through the race, dropped him back down the order. And in the last race, he hung in quite well early in the piece, but then had a few dramas. A good battle with the man coming into the top of the screen there now. Yu Kanemaru for Super Licence, finished fourth last time out. Great scrap with Brendan Leach, who's coming around top of screen now. He was third in the opening race yesterday, race number 10, but could do nothing about the leading trio, who have pretty much dominated this first 10 races of the season. We're 11 in the books now. 7 of those wins going to Ukyo Sasahara, including this morning's race. There is Kwa Yu, the Zen Motorsport Chinese driver, just lining up on the grid. We'll get to the grid shortly. This was set by qualifying yesterday. Fastest qualifying lap, of course, setting the grid for race 1. Fastest race lap setting the grid for race 2 of the race weekend. And the second set of qualifying numbers sets the grid for the third and final race of the weekend. But all of those were topped by Ukyo Sasahara. Jack Doohan will start this race from the front row. Daniel Cao, for the first time this weekend, will slip back to third. And Doohan, who's had a fairly lacklustre weekend. Something doesn't seem quite right with the 16-year-old Australian, whether it's car, whether it's his adaptation to the circuit. We've not seen problems like that from him this year so far. He's been fairly coy when asked about it pre- and post-race. He's just pressing on. He's focused on what's going on in front. He's not worried too much about the championship, although having said that, he came into race 10, 8 points behind the Japanese driver, Sasahara. They'd shared wins, 5 to the Japanese driver, 4 to the Australian. But since then, Sasahara's gone on to back-to-back wins here at Shanghai, extended the advantage out to 31 points. I think before very much longer, we'll be down on the grid and we will be hearing from some of your championship points leaders.
You kill 4 races to go, and with Jack Doohan right next to you. Any pressure?
Yeah, I knew Jack is my teammate, and I knew he's quick. So, like this morning, just try to make a good start and see how it goes. It's going to be much hotter than this morning, so let's see how it's going to be the tire in the end.
Thank you. 那么他也知道呢，他的队友 Jack Duhan 就在他的身边，他也知道 Jack Duhan 是非常快的一个车手，那么他的主要目标呢还是有一个非常好的起步，而且今天下午的天气比早上呢又热了很多，所以还是要保持轮胎的一个使用。他也希望今天能有一个好成绩。Back to you guys.
Perhaps more than at any time during the year, the tyres and track temperature have been the word of note this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage that. Everything looked okay. I mean, the Control GT GTR1 tyre is a harder compound. It will withstand the pressure these guys are putting on them across 3 30-minute races each event. 2 sets from start of qualifying through to the end of the race weekend. They're certainly durable. They've done the job. But the way they set the cars up to maximise that tyre life is something that the engineers can use to their advantage. And I would expect that with their immense experience, High-Tech GP will have set up
Hi, Jack.
Fukio's car
Starting
very
from
well.
P2, what's your approach for today's race?
Yeah, obviously starting P2, so better than we were before. Just going to try and get a better start than Yukio, try and get into the lead, and hopefully I'll be able to have a better pace than him. It's a bit unknown considering we weren't quick enough last race, but hopefully we got it for this race.
Thank you. 那刚刚我也问到他今天呢这一场比赛是从第2位发车，他会有什么样的不一样？他提到呢，他也希望能有一个非常好的起步，能在之后呢抓到一个很好的一个节奏，那么在今天呢取得一个好成绩。Back to you guys.
As you heard from Jack Doohan, he's not really too focused on anything apart from getting the jump on his Japanese teammate and then trying to drive the widest possible Tata chassis all the way through to the close of the race. He needs to rebuild in points. He was 8 down coming into yesterday. He's now 31 points down, 25 for the win. There's still 100 points left in this championship. We go to the point score as it stands now, and it's 231 to Sasahara, 200 to Doohan, and back to Daniel Cow in third at 131. Although he needs to be pretty prompt with his activities today, because just 14 points behind is Brendan Leach. And the young New Zealander will be looking to make amends for the earlier race today where he couldn't do any better than 5th. Couldn't get his way past the super licence entry. So field starting just to clear up a little bit of people. Won't be too much longer before we are underway with race number 12 of the second season of the F3 Asian Championships certified by FIA. I'm sure I can see Feline down there. She may have been moved off the grid. We may not hear from any of the other drivers. Certainly Daniel Cow has been a standout this weekend. He's come up another level, and we could expect to see that gunmetal grey and pink Absolute Racing entry. The number 5 put a little bit of pressure on the 2 high-tech entries. Of course, Absolute Racing do have a base here. Bit of a technical issue with the audio down there on the grid, but that is a cleared grid now. We will have the cars, it's the 1 minute board heading out. They will circulate, get some temperature into their Control GT tyres, and they will be back for the third standing start of the weekend. Jack Doohan this time with the inside running. He is a grid length back from the pole sitter, who is on right of screen as you look at the grid, looking back towards turn 16, or if you're looking towards the direction of travel, the left of screen, you can see him. The car to the furthest on the left is Ukio Sasahara, championship points leader, recently crowned Porsche Carrera Cup Japan champion outright, so has some good credentials. And the 23-year-old Japanese driver will be looking for title number 2. And if he can take this one and Doohan strikes too much more trouble, we'll be down to just 75 points left at the end of September. 3 weeks' time, we'll be here doing it all over again. And that's a pretty handy advantage to come in to have 31 plus points and only 75 left on the board. It's not a foregone conclusion, but certainly this weekend and this race will be very, very important to Jack Doohan's title aspirations, and he'll be looking to try and make amends for what was a tough run yesterday. He couldn't do any better than fourth. He improved that to third today quite comfortably, and he'll be looking to go another step or two better than that in this 30-minute race, and we're not far away from that, getting these cars underway. Let's hope they all start okay. Kanemaru, unfortunately, was left stranded on the grid in the opening race yesterday. That put him well behind. That said, he also got around the circuit pretty promptly afterwards, set the 5th fastest time. That gave him a P5 start for race number 11 this morning. Although in this race he will be starting from the 4th row, qualified 8th. You can see the white and red colours in the far row, 4 cars back. That is the Japanese driver. A veritable veteran in this field at 25 years of age. Rear of field, the last 2 cars, well, Paul Wong, by the look of this one, has out-qualified Thomas Liudi. The positions were reversed in the first race. Paul Wong had the advantage in the second race. And this time round, Thomas Liudi will be looking for another victory after a win this morning. Here is the formation lap. A little bit of wheel spin just to lay down a bit of rubber for extra grip off the start. You see licorice strips down the circuit there. It's clear that a few teams have elected to do the same thing just to get better advantage. Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia also competing this weekend, although they have a rolling start. One of those drivers on screen, Paul Wong, just disappearing through left of screen there in the blue entry. And also Brendan Leach campaigning Lambos this weekend. So Sash O'Hara has pole alongside his High-Tech Grand Prix teammate Jack Doohan. They make up row number 1. Says GBR, but he's very much an Australian. Daniel Cowell, left of screen from China, the local driver for Absolute Racing, starts alongside Jordan Dempsey, who's done a fantastic job in qualifying for Pinnacle Motorsport. Then Brendan Leach starts on the 3rd row, the New Zealander for Black Arts Racing, alongside Ayrton Simmons, 3rd in British F3. He goes back there next weekend at Silverstone to try and improve on that. Isham Piras, who's had a mixed result this year, the second of the Absolute Racing cars, the Sri Lankan on the inside of row 4. Alongside Yu Kanemaru, had such a good run through to 4th this morning. Kuai Yu, the second of the Chinese drivers for Zen Motorsport, starts on the inside of row 5 alongside Tommy Smith, the 17-year-old Australian. Another Australian, this time 16 years of age, the 3rd of the High-Tech Grand Prix drivers, Jackson Wall, alongside the leading Masters entry, that is Paul Wong, and Thomas Liudi brings up rear of field. More condensed field here this weekend. Championship is starting to tighten up, so we have lost a couple of drivers. Not too far away either from the start of the 2020 Championship, which actually kicks off in the middle of December at Sepang International Circuit. It runs all the way through to the 3rd week of February, where it concludes at Buriram International Circuit in Thailand. We'll get to those dates a little bit later. You can keep up to date with all that information though, www.f3asia.com. And the various social media platforms in both English and Chinese, where all the news will be out. A bit of news that we haven't quite got out so far this weekend is just why Jack Doohan's not quite on the customary pace we've seen from him at Sepang, at Buriram, and Suzuka, where he and Ukio have shared the wins between them. Ukio won the first round, he won the second round, Jack the third, Ukio the fourth, Jack the fifth, Ukio the sixth, Jack the seventh, Ukio the eighth, Jack the ninth, and Ukio. So it's advantage to the Japanese driver at the moment. 7 wins so far to 4 wins from Doohan, and I would expect that the son of 5-time motorcycle world champion Mick Doohan will be looking to make amends for that in this race. He is just 16 years of age. You have to remember that. He's not too long out of karts. These are his formative laps in open wheelers this year. And he's doing a little bit of work in Europe as well. He's competing in Euro Formula Open. And after 6 rounds of 9, he's 7th and 3rd in the Rookies Championship, racing Liam Lawson in that one. And he'll be back in action with that one before too much longer. But we get ready for what will be race number 12 of season 2019, the second season of the F3 Asian Championship certified by FIA. New generation cars, course marked by the halo protective device. TARDIS F3 T318 chassis, the Auto Technica engine, and of course those controlled GTR1 slick tyres that have served this championship so well over 2 summer seasons and the winter series, of course. These cars competed in the winter series in the off-season. And the 2020, the third championship season of the F3 Asian Championship, will get underway in mid-December. There is Thomas Liudi in the number 9 entry and Paul Wong, his Masters rival, in the 44 entry. So right of screen is the man who's dominated so far this weekend, Ukyo Sasahara, as the 5-second board goes out. Left of screen is Jack Doohan. Can Sasahara, when the lights go out, get the jump on his teammate? Let's see. He tries to move across. He's doing the best he can. Doohan sticking with it as much as he can. Daniel Cow under pressure from a couple of the Pinnacle drivers too, and Brendan Leach going to try and go round the outside. That's just taken out 2 of the contenders, including Daniel Cow. That is tragic news for the local driver after such a brilliant weekend so far. So the focus then goes back to the 2 leaders. More than likely a safety car. It's not my decision, of course, as Yukanemaru mixed up further back. That has really made things messy. But Brendan Leach, unfortunately, went around the outside. And not sure whether or not Daniel Cow just went in a little too deep, or whether or not Brendan Leach gave him absolutely nowhere to go on the inevitable contact. And for the driver from Shanghai, for Absolute Racing, the local man who's been a real sensation this weekend, Daniel Cow, absolute bitter disappointment. Parked on the outside of the very first turn. Went in the box seat for his 3rd consecutive podium. Brendan Leach, a great run to be 3rd behind Daniel Cow in the opening race yesterday, but the 2 of those drivers unlikely to take any further part in this race. There is the Pinnacle Motorsport advanced driving team. They've been separated by very little up to this point, but I'd suggest after such a great qualifying effort, that would be Jordan Dempsey in the number 3 entry. He's ahead of the number 12 of Ayrton Simmons. Kwai Yu in the mix a little bit further back as they run through the Parabolica onto the main straight. Now, are we seeing flashing yellow lights? Yeah, it looks like something's gone on because Sasahara has started weaving. Yep, safety car notification is up. Need to get this timing screen back up to speed, although it's not going to tell me much on this opening lap. Nope. Not a Zach. I'll wait until they come around the first time. But we are under control of the safety car after that contact between Daniel Cow and Brendan Leach. I think they're battling over 3rd position going into turn 1. And certainly a great start for Brendan Leach from position 5. He got onto the tail of Daniel Cow and tried to come across to the apex of the corner. Daniel was still in the corner. Whether he went a little bit wide and straight-lined it and made contact, or whether or not Leach hadn't given him any racing room, no doubt we'll find a little bit more out about that. After the race, we hear from the drivers. You can keep up to date with the news, f3asia.com on the website. But certainly disappointment. Now, there's something moving at the top of the screen. I wonder whether or not somehow Brendan Leach has managed to be able to keep going. What can I see? Because certainly Daniel Cow's going nowhere. That car needs to be recovered. That's the reason we're behind the safety car. And disappointing run, certainly for the 2 drivers that are battling over position number 3 in this championship. Right of screen, immediately moving across on his teammate was Sasahara, but the incident was here. We missed it. It'd be nice to go back and actually have a proper look at that. This is after the incident had taken place. But that contact with Brendan Leach and Daniel Cow, looked like there could have been even more further back. 3 wide, that wasn't a great success. So Kwai Yu and one of the Pinnacle Motorsport entries battling further back. Could have even been Jackson Walls too involved in all of that. Where is he sitting at the moment? Standings as they are right at this second. Sasahara, Doohan, Jordan Dempsey, Ayrton Simmons. So the Pinnacle Motorsport team have really stepped up from where they were in the last 2 races this weekend. They're 3rd and 4th. Ishan Peiris is in position 5. Yukanemaru back to position 6. Jackson Walls in position 7, Tommy Smith position 8, Kwai Yu in position 9. Thomas Ludi is leading the Masters class. There he is going through screen now, and that answers the question about Brendan Leach. So Brendan Leach has been able to rejoin. Now one wonders whether or not we may or may not see a safety car intervention. Has Brendan Leach done damage to the nose of his TARDIS? It's very dark. They've cut away from the camera before we got a good chance to look at it. But certainly contact like that at those speeds on a fast part of the circuit will have some impact on the car. You could see the damage it did to the left front of Daniel Cow's car, which was stranded on the outside of turn 1. So very disappointing for the local driver and the fans who've come to see him. Now it looks like, from what I can tell, Brendan Leach's nose is okay. Now, whether or not he receives a penalty, because the stewards will have a lot more access to cameras and information than we do. We're only going on what we can see. It's not up to us to pass judgment on what happened. Certainly 2 young drivers trying to make a mark, and when the field is bunched, that is the time to try and make an impression. Damage to the right front of Daniel Cow's car. The left front's probably not much chop either. So it has been recovered. We might do another lap behind the safety car. Let's hope not. That's not the way we want to be circulating. We've seen a fair bit of the safety car this year, but that's all part of the learning curve. Young drivers trying to impress upon team bosses and sponsors their abilities. And sometimes you have to push the point. Sadly for Brendan Leach, he's been one of them on the receiving end of retirements this year. Does push the car very hard. Has helped that team, the Black Arts Racing team, to really develop that car. They have become a powerhouse in this category now, alongside the likes of High Tech, whose credentials are without question. Absolute Racing, well, so too. Arguably the most experienced team in Asia, have been for many, many years. There's a lot of experience in GT competition as well as the developmental categories. Black Arts running cars this weekend, so too in F4, have been quite successful. Their drivers have been in on the podium all weekend so far. And there is Brendan Leach at the rear of the field. So I'd imagine safety car lights will go out fairly shortly. We're 2 laps in the books. Not the way we wanted to start the 3rd race of the weekend. We've been pretty good up to this point. See just how much ground Brendan Leach can make up across the course of this race. I'm not getting any notifications from race control, so I can't tell you if and when something may or may not happen. So we just press on with what we can see on screen. Timing monitors at the moment not too good for us because we are behind safety car. I can tell you is we are on the 3rd racing lap. The clock is still ticking. We're nearly a third of the way through this race. The bulk of it so far has been behind the mighty Lamborghini. Here is the replay. Now, there is Brendan Leach just moving across on Daniel Cow. Now, Daniel, by that stage, left front has collapsed, but he was wide of the apex. So he may not have known where Brendan was. I think he had another car too on his inside. So it's possible that Brendan's car looks okay. It's possible that Daniel could have been giving a car on the inside a little bit more racing room too. Remember the size of these wing mirrors, not much bigger than a postage stamp. So you're doing all of this, making snap decisions at 200 plus kilometres per hour, trying to keep tabs on where your opposition is behind you, trying to make a move forward in front of you, and trying to juggle things like cold tyres and a hot circuit as you fire into turn 1 for the very first time. So I'm not so sure it's an easy thing to apportion blame, and potentially decisions could be made at the close of this race by stewards that when they look at all the information, and by not making a decision right now could be the wisest choice. Look at Doohan, he's looking racy. He knows the rules, he knows where he needs to be. We'll get this restart going. Green flag. Sasha Hara can fire when he's ready. He's controlling the field. Now he's away. He's on the throttle. Doing two. You can see the attitude of the cars coming through the final corner. There was a bit of attitude for some of the boys down the back. Very, very wide. Somebody had a bit of an issue. Was that Jackson Walls further back? And that was the reason those cars went so wide on the exit. But be careful of track limits. That could be an issue. Now, what can Doohan do? Can he master cold tyres and push hard? Very impressive run by Jordan Dempsey. He has been very good this weekend, and this qualifying effort yesterday set up this race. He's locked in right behind the Australian at the moment. He'll be loving every bit of this. Doohan not so much. Sasha Hara is getting away already. He's stretching his legs. The number one machine, the championship points leader, the recently crowned Porsche Carrera Cup Japan champion, is off into the distance, as we've seen a number of times this year. Doohan not had the happiest of times so far at Shanghai, and frustrating for the young Australian is that we come back here in 3 weeks to do it all over again on the very same circuit. He had no dramas at Sepang, no dramas at Buriram, no dramas at Suzuka, but so far this weekend hasn't played into the hands of the 16-year-old Australian. Again, he's 16. He hasn't spent a lot of time in these cars. Sasahara's got some good mileage. Yukanemaru's been overseas in open wheelers. You've got the man who's currently third in the British F3 Championship, of course, Ayrton Simmons in this field. There's some drivers with some good credentials. Jack Doohan very much in the formative part of his career. Jordan Dempsey, the man behind him, has wrapped up an F4 title in this part of the world too, so he's making the progression through to the next level. Doohan's not too long out of go-karts. He was quite successful in that formula, backed by Red Bull, and he is eyes forward. He will do everything he can to close down his championship rival, but at the moment this will be very much damage limitation. The last thing he needs is Jordan Dempsey firing past. Jordan Dempsey knows that too. These guys are students of the sport. This is all about development and learning. He will know that the man in front of him is thinking about a championship and consolidating as many points as possible. Dempsey, well, he's well back in the championship. He's out of contention for the title. He's not out of contention for race wins, and you don't get race wins by giving away opportunities. So any opportunity that presents itself, keep a close eye on the number 3 entry there, the right car on screen, the more red livery. That is the Pinnacle Motorsport entry of Jordan Dempsey. Looking very, very racy, the young Irishman at the moment, and very keen to move himself onto the podium. And I would expect, if I just check that, for Jordan Dempsey, well, his best result, no, he has been on the podium once. He was third at the third race at Suzuka. So he's been on the podium once. He wants to replicate that if he can. There's the battle for Masters Honours. Thomas Ludy has the advantage at the moment. The all-blue colours of Paul Wong, probably getting a bit weary at the end of Sunday, given he's been contesting races in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia and in Formula 3. He's one of the veterans, the Masters category, effectively the over 40s class. It's a lot of work for a driver to do in these kinds of conditions, so you couldn't put a bad mark next to Paul Wong's name if he was a tad tired at this stage of the weekend. He certainly has done a good job in this championship and comfortably leads the Masters classification at the moment. 220 points as it stands provisionally to 136 points for Thomas Ludy, so he's effectively wrapped that up. If he does finish second today, very close to being crowned champion, although it might go down to one more race, but certainly a big advantage. A lot of that advantage has taken place by virtue of, well, 4 DNFs for Thomas Ludy and a DNS as a result of damage at Buriram. He came back in the final race in Thailand to take the victory. But Ukyo Sasahara, 7-time winner this season. He's on the way to his 8th win from 12 starts. The only other driver to take victory, Jack Doohan. An awkward exit to the final corner. He seemed to have lost a little bit of ground on that one too. Still drivers using all of the circuit and then some. That looked a little bit like Jackson Walls. Now where's Yukanemaru? There he is, he's in position 5. So it was Jackson Walls who ran very wide. Hisham Pires, Yukanemaru for Super License, the Japanese driver. And then the young Australian in the objective entry, the third of the high-tech Grand Prix cars, is Jackson Walls. Also doing double duty with F4 in Australia. So he's getting plenty of miles too, like his compatriot Jack Doohan. Done a bit of karting. His father owns a McLaren 650S GT3. So the Tony's quite ready to put Jackson up into that at some point soon. Interesting to see how he fares in a GT machine. There's Brendan Leach this weekend, who is now, well, that looked like him just behind that pack. So I'd say Brendan Leach has moved himself up to, that would be position number 8, having got around Tommy Smith. So he's moving forward quite strongly. If I check the lap times, 2:06.5 for Brendan Leach is his quickest. 2:05.8 is the fastest lap of this race, the only driver in the 2:05s. First flying lap once more to Ukyo Sasahara. Last time round, 2:06 dead, 2:06.3 for Doohan, 2:06.6 for Dempsey, 2:06.9 for Simmons. And for Brendan Leach, a little bit of traffic, 2:08.2. There he is on screen. That put us back behind him. It would have been Tommy Smith battling with Kuai Yu, second of the Chinese drivers in the field. Unfortunately for Daniel Cao, he's out. He's going to take no further part in this race after that contact with Brendan Leach. Brendan's still circulating, so that's good news. There's been no drive-through penalty. That's also good news. Shampiris under fire from the man that took him in the first race. Shades of race 2 this morning. Kanemaru getting through to 4th position where he was under fire from Brendan Leach. And it looks like that's going to happen again very shortly. Brendan Leach, the New Zealander, coming through. Already up to position number 8. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Pyrrhus, 6 for Kanemaru, 7 for Jackson Walls, 8 for Brendan Leach. Brendan Leach that time round 2:06.2, his fastest lap. Currently second fastest on track. So too, Ukyo Sasahara put in his quickest lap of the race, 2:05.7. Still the only driver to crack into the 2:05s. His lead now out to 2.4 seconds over Jack Doohan. Doohan holding an 0.8 of a second lead over Jordan Dempsey. Ed Simmons now about 2.5 seconds back from his teammate, 4th place. The young man who is a 3-time winner of the BRDC British F3 Championship this year. There is Yu Kanemaru. Jackson Walls looking very racy, a bit behind him. But so too is Brendan Leach, a bit like Paul Wong, also done plenty of miles this weekend. A little bit younger, potentially a little bit fitter. Certainly looking to make an impression on this part of the world as he looks to build a career. The young New Zealander has had success with the Toyota Racing Series, which has seen a number of, a number of current F1 drivers in past seasons. A number of the world's best open-wheel drivers have been across to New Zealand in the off-season. Talking off-season, we go into the 2020 version of the F3 Asian Championship, certified by FIA. December 14-15, Sepang in Malaysia. January 10-11, Dubai Autodrome. January 17-18, Yas Marina Circuit. February 14-15, Sepang International Circuit again. And February 22-23 rounds out races 13-15. 3 races per race weekend, just as the 2019 format. That is Brendan Leach tucked in under the rear wing of Jackson Walls. Feigned left, went right. Drag race, he's got the inside. He needs to just pull it up now. Locked 2 wheels, both left side by the look of it. Smoked some tyres, and the crossover. Jackson Walls, he looks like he might not do it. No, side by side, I think he's better off pulling out of that one. He does, and he's probably got a little bit he can learn too from the New Zealander by sitting in his toe. Now, they need to get focused, and Jackson Walls, he's looking racy still. He doesn't want to give it up that easy. High-Tech Grand Prix driver, good drive out of the corner. It suggests that the 3 High-Tech cars have certainly sorted their chassis and engine package out, get the most of it. Punch out of the final corner down the straight, very, very good. So Walls needs to just get eyes forward again and see what he can learn from Brendan Leach. See if he can't get a tow up to the 2 drivers immediately ahead of him, because the way Brendan Leach is going, shouldn't be too much longer before he manages to haul them in. Brendan Leach last time round, 2:06.8. Jackson Walls 2:08.2, 2:06.1. So watch Brendan Leach. Yeah, a couple of bumps, probably just upset the car a little. He had left side tyres burning. Just see right of screen, Jackson Walls had the right front lock up. It was a good braking duel down to the braking point. You see how bumpy this circuit is. That said, most circuits are bumpy. But when He's sitting in a very stiff, very light, very low open wheel formula car. 650 kilo minimum weight, 270 horsepower. Backside's a couple of inches off the circuit. You are feeling every one of those bumps. Kanemaru very wide around the parabolica. So too Brendan Leach looking for the slingshot down that long, almost 800 metre back straight. Jordan Dempsey is just not letting Jack Doohan go. Doohan is trying to focus on catching his teammate, who's probably just got the edge again for the third time this weekend. Now he needs to focus a little bit on defence, because Jordan Dempsey, who we're just talking about, he's been on the podium once this year. Doohan, by contrast, has been on the podium, well, in all but 2 races out of 11 this year. So you'd suggest that Jordan Dempsey may be the hungrier of the 2 drivers, and if the young Irishman can get close enough, you could expect to see that red Pinnacle Motorsport machine fire down the inside of Doohan and try and take that position away. This great battle still between Isham Pires, Hugh Kanemaru and Brendan Leach. Jackson Walls just dropped off the back of it a little bit this time round. 208.1 last time round. Brendan Leach into the low 206s again, 206.3, 206.2, still fastest on track to the championship points leader and the race leader. 206.4 for Jordan Dempsey. He pulled in 0.2 of a second on Jack Doohan on that last lap. Doohan now 0.8 of a second, or about 3/4 of a second up on Jordan Dempsey. And the race leader now is 3 seconds up on his teammate. There is Sashihara, there is Doohan behind him. That's a 3-second gap with less than 10 minutes to go in race number 12 of the 2019 season. Very much dominated by the British-based high-tech GP team. Also have a base at Sepang in Malaysia. Very strong in this part of the world, heavily involved in the W Series. They've been champions, they'll be champions again this year in the F3 Asian Championship certified by FIA. They were champions last year. They were also champions in the Winter Series, the 3-event off-season championship shared between Buriram and Sepang. And that paved the way for another good year this year. Certainly, they're carrying the number 1 for a reason. And the number 2 for that matter. Jordan Dempsey being very impressive in this race. He is not letting Jack Doohan get away 1 inch. Cars 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3 in this race. Etten Simmons a little bit further back there in position number 4. Isham Pires still in position number 5. Doohan got better drive out of the corner that time than Jordan Dempsey. Lost just a little bit of ground as they came to the line. Should be reflected in the lap times. Not quite. 206.89 for Doohan, 206.83 for Jordan Dempsey, 206.4 for Sashihara. Let's have a look at Brendan Leach. Where's he now? Well, this is done at 206.89. So certainly right on the pace of the cars battling over position 2. But so far as Brendan Leach is concerned, now 12 seconds down on the race leader. Jack Doohan lost 0.6 of a second. The race leader last time round. More consistent, I'd say, than he was this morning. Only marginally. But certainly both of today's races have seen better pace out of the number 2 high-tech car than he had yesterday. Couldn't do anything about Brendan Leach fighting his way past yesterday. Started position 3, Daniel Cowan position 2. Doohan stuck with them, with Sashihara, his teammate, and with Daniel Cow for the early laps, then ultimately fell to Brendan Leach, who stormed through to 3rd. There is Brendan Leach still storming. And this is very much shades of deja vu from this morning's race, where he spent half a dozen laps locked in behind the super licence entry of Hugh Kanemaru. Here he is again. Has he got the best of his tyres? Is there anywhere Brendan Leach can go? He certainly tried it in the first race. He's still pushing. Kanemaru's best lap, 207.1. Last lap, 207.2. Brendan Leach can circulate 0.9 of a second faster than the Japanese driver. He just needs that opportunity. Now, we talk about toes and aero and slipstreaming. This is the perfect example, and that's exactly what Brendan Leach is trying to do. Will he stay out wide, go for the crossover? Certainly if Kanemaru goes deep, We saw that in that braking duel between Brendan Leach and Jackson Walls a few laps ago. But Kanemaru closed the door on the exit. No opportunity there for Brendan Leach. He might need to leave it to the back straight again this time round. He will apply maximum pressure, do everything he can. Kanemaru's trying, he wants to be very careful too, because the stewards don't tend to look too fondly on too many blocking moves. Quite sure what the rule of thumb is with the F3 Asian Championship. You have one opportunity to make a move to hold your position. Whether more than one move is considered blocking, whether that incurs the wrath of the stewards. Kanemaru just moved across to close any opportunity. Leach's only real chance there was to go down the grass. He didn't need shades of a deja vu. Oh, goodness me. Down at turn 6 he tried, got up the inside. Kanemaru knew he was there, but knew he had better drive off the corner. Now, is this the opportunity? This is really where driving ability comes to the fore. This is your classic mid to high speed corner. This is where you rely on aero. This is where you rely on carrying car speed. This is where amateur drivers will often bring themselves unstuck. So there didn't seem to be any clear advantage between the Japanese or the New Zealand driver that time round. They all share the identical Auto Technica ATM AR F3R engine, so there's no performance advantage there. All the chassis are the identical Tardis F3 T318 chassis. They're all sharing the same minimum weight. They're all using the same GT Control GTR1 tyre. That said, they are getting towards the end of their tyre life with 4 minutes and a bit to go. They have completed full use of all their tyre sets now. This is interesting. This could end up in tears. Another braking duel down here. Brendan Leach needs to keep a calm head just in case and do what he can. He's gone for the crossover. I think he's got him this time. He has. Kanemaru's probably gone too deep. Yeah, now that's advantage to Brendan Leach. He manages to close the door. There's probably one too many moves on that run down the long back straight to turn 14. But Brendan Leach got the job done. So, eyes forward. Can he catch Ishan Peiris with about 3 laps to go? Yes, there's every chance that he can. He's got fresh air in front of him. Doesn't want to be too flustered by what's just happened. Jackson Walls has taken in something from all of that and looking for what advantage he can take. Another young driver looking to build some strong experience. A little bit of four-wheel drift coming through turn 3 for Brendan Leach. He is pushing and pushing hard. There's the first move. Then, well, actually, that's the second move. This is the braking duel as we came down to the braking point. And Brendan Leach was just looking for that prime opportunity. He would have been watching Kanemaru's hands on the wheel to see when he started to turn so he could pull in behind him and affect the crossover, and he did that almost textbook perfectly. It's a good job by Brendan Leach. He's really stretching the legs now. Kanemaru's gone from defence from a New Zealander to defence of an Australian, as Jackson Walls sees what he can do with that objective machine. His objective, well, that's pretty clear. It'll be to get through on the white and red super licence entry as Brendan Leach closes in once more on Ishan Peiris. Now at the front of the field, the advantage out to 4.2 seconds, let's call it, between Ukyo Sashihara and his teammate Jack Doohan. Jordan Dempsey still holding station, but he's now 1.2 seconds back from Doohan. So Doohan may have weathered that storm. They're just disappearing off bottom of screen. The car immediately in front of us, the one coming towards the screen, is Ayrton Simmons in position 4. Ishan Peiris position 5. Brendan Leach now up to position 6, having started from behind the safety car intervention. Last car in field. He was in part responsible for the safety car intervention, the contact that happened with Daniel Cow on the run in turn 1 off the start. They were battling over position number 3. No news as to what may have transpired as a result of that. Result will be provisional at the end of the race, no doubt, until the stewards have cleared that through. There is your race leader, white and black flag. Unfortunately, I can't tell you who that's for. I can't see the number. I don't have that in the information in front of me. I couldn't imagine it'll be for the number 1 car, who has turned in a flawless performance this weekend. Qualified on pole for race 1, qualified on pole for race 3 set the fastest lap in race 1. That set the grid for race 2. He had pole for race 2. He won race 1. He won race 2. He won race 3. This would be the first race weekend this year where there has been a complete whitewash by one driver. That driver, Ukio Sashihara. The way things are at the moment, his 31-point advantage will extend. We'll add another 7 points. It will be a 38-point advantage coming back here in 3 weeks' time. That could be bad news for Jack Doohan, but he will do plenty of simulator work. He's back off overseas for Euro Formula Open, where he'll turn some more miles, get some more experience under his belt as he tries to return 75 points still left in this championship for the final 3 races in just 3 weeks' time. Jordan Dempsey, Ayrton Simmons, they are positions 3 and 4 in this race. There is the race leader, there is Jack Doohan, there is Jordan Dempsey. Ayrton Simmons will appear top of screen anytime now, right on cue. Behind him is Shampiris. By the look of the shadows, Brendan Leach, well, it's the last lap. That was the other thing I'd forgotten to call. Apologies for that. Brendan Leach has just one real opportunity to try and take that position from Isham Pires. It'll be great to see what happens as they come down to turn 14 for the last time. But we're watching the race leader through the final corner for the 3rd time this weekend. Extends his championship points lead. There's your winner, Ukio Sashihara from High Tech GP. His teammate and title rival, Jack Doohan, his best result this weekend. He's finished 4th, he's finished 3rd, now he's finished 2nd. Jordan Dempsey back on the podium the 2nd time this season. And Isham Pires, there he is behind Ayrton Simmons, has managed to weather the storm from Brendan Leach. Brendan Leach still pushing to the absolute limit, 2:06.6, fastest man on track the last time round. The young New Zealander and the Black Arts team will take something out of that. Yu Kanemaru in position number 7. Jackson Walls snuck up behind him to take position 8 in his 6th race now for High Tech Grand Prix. Kwai Yu for Zen Motorsport in position 9. Tommy Smith, the 3rd of the Pinnacle Motorsport entries. Unfortunately for him, had to watch his 2 teammates race off into the distance to finish 3rd and 4th. He crosses the line in P10. Thomas Ludi takes top honours once more in the Masters category. Paul Wong across the line in position 12. And unfortunately for Daniel Cow, he didn't get any further than turn 1. He was a retirement. His car recovered. And that was a big loss in championship points. Brendan Leach, well, he'll take 10-8 championship points by virtue of having finished in position number 6. And he will bring that advantage that was at 14 points effectively down to 6 points. Now, result is provisional. There could be some level of penalty as a result of that contact at the start, but there is the official result, provisional result. Ukio Sashihara for the 8th time this year is the winner. From Jack Doohan, Jordan Dempsey, Ayrton Simmons, Isham Pires, Brendan Leach, Yu Kanemaru, Jackson Walls, Kwai Yu and Tommy Smith. We will hear from the drivers very, very shortly. Thomas Ludi and Paul Wong in the battle for Masters honours, and Daniel Cow, unfortunately, a retirement on the opening lap of the race. So 13 laps in the books this time round, 15 in the first 2 races, the first safety car intervention. But the result, no different. Ukio Sashihara, recently crowned Porsche Carrera Cup Japan champion, outright champion. He is looking to take his maiden F3 Asian Championship certified by FIA title, and he has to wait 3 weeks until he can sign that off into Wikipedia history. We will hear from the drivers shortly down there in Parc Fermé with Feline. We will then go through to the podiums for outright and Masters. And then we will go through to the press conference. So stay with us with all of that. And make sure you join us again in 3 weeks' time. September 26 to 28. It is the final event of Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia. There's some great racing going to happen right here at Shanghai that weekend. That will close out the 2019 season. And just a couple of months later, we will be into the 2020 championship. Begins at Sepang in Malaysia on December 14 and 15. There is Brendan Leach, not showing too much sign of the dramas that hit him in turn 1 with Daniel Cow. Frustrating end for the young driver from Absolute Racing. 2 second-place finishes this weekend. He was in with a good chance of being able to take the fight for one more time to Ukio Sashihara. He qualified 3rd for this race. Sadly, didn't get any further than turn 1. There is the Japanese driver You can hear the Ukio chants from Japan. And why not? He has been absolutely flawless this weekend. Time to celebrate. I probably even think he might even be considering he could be champion this year. Carry that number one through to the 2020 season. Of course, he carries the number one by virtue of High Tech Grand Prix being the reigning champions. Fairly subdued celebration at the moment. Of course, the team very instrumental in that result. But so too Sasha Hara. Very, very good drive. Get the gloves off, get the helmet off. Be nice to hear too from Jack Doohan, who'll be a little bit happier with that result. He certainly would have liked to have started the weekend that way and been able to attack from there. But whatever they found over the last two races, that has worked for the young Australian. And Jordan Dempsey, what an impressive result for the young Irishman. He really did a great job. Let's go down to Feline, and very, very shortly she will be with your race winner from race 12 of the 2019 season.
So Yukio, congratulations. Tell us about these two starts in this race.
The first one was an average start, and immediately safety car came out. And the restart, I think, was quite okay. And first field up, I could manage the gap and to see how it goes the tire. But in the end, I think I managed well, and happy for the P1 to the team. So thank you.
Thank you. 刚刚我问到他，那么这2次的起步对他来讲是非常的关键的，他的表现怎么样？他提到他一开始的时候就起步的非常的好，不过很快呢，安全车就出现了，他也很好的去 manage 了第2次的起步，之后呢，一直和后车保持一个距离，而且很好的保持了一个轮胎的状态，最终呢，给车队又拿到了一个冠军，他非常的开心。Back to you guys.
Well deserved for Sasahara. There is Mick Doohan in the middle of the top of the screen. Just walking past Feline. 5-time motorcycle world champion. Not sure we're going to actually hear from the other drivers. Jordan Dempsey appears to have exited stage right. So too Jack Doohan. That's disappointing. Would have been nice to hear from the young Australian. But stay with us for the post-race press conference, because we will no doubt hear from the drivers up there. They're off to the podium. Sasahara will need to get his skates on if he wants to collect his 8th number 1 trophy of the season. It's not a bad haul out of 12 races. 2 wins out of every 3 starts. And when he hasn't been on the top step of the podium, invariably he has been second. This weekend, no such issue. It has been an absolute clean sweep. 3 pole to flag victories. Here is the highlights of the race. A lot of colour on the grid. Kuai Yu a little bit further back in the field. They came around after warming the tyres. That is the Masters entries at Rearfield. All the action takes place at turn 1. Right of screen, Sasahara. Left of screen, Doohan. Japanese driver comes straight across. Daniel Cow, he moved across too to protect from Dempsey, but didn't realise that he had Brendan Leach on the outside. Then this contact down at turn 1. Both front wheels gone on Daniel Cow's car, nowhere for him to go. Fortunately for Brendan Leach, he was able to rejoin, and clearly with the pace that the Black Arts Racing entry had, he lost none of that. On the restart, you heard from Sasahara talking to Feline. He didn't get a bad restart, but certainly managed to creep away from Doohan quite quickly. Doohan then under fire from Jordan Dempsey was very impressive. Leach was the big one. Took him a couple of laps to get past Yu Kanemaru. Couldn't do it in this morning's race. Had to follow him around for half a dozen laps. This time, though, pushed the point. Kanemaru drove the widest TARDIS in history, but ultimately couldn't stop the New Zealander getting through. But the winner for the 8th time this year, that was Ukio Sasahara. Beautiful day at Shanghai International Circuit. Sun's out, temperatures in the mid-30s, track temperatures starting to creep into the 40s now. That has been a real challenge for the drivers. A good crowd in early, certainly for the second race. They've been treated to some Lamborghini action as well, and F4. It's been a full spectrum of racing at the home of the Chinese Formula One Grand Prix. We'll be back here again in 3 weeks. 3 more races to close out the 2019 F3 Asian Championships certified by FIA. So lots more action to go. The title fight, effectively, it's a closed shop now between the 2 high-tech Grand Prix drivers, Ukyo Sasahara and Jack Doohan. Title advantage now out to 38 points provisionally as a result of today's second race. So a lot of work for the young Australian to do, but it's never over until it's over. He certainly has to turn in his own flawless performance when we come back here in 3 weeks. But from what we've seen of Jack Doohan so far this year, that is certainly not out of the question. Here is your podium presentation for race number 12 of the 2019 season.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're now having the podium ceremony for. We're now having the podium. Let me use that first. We're now having the podium ceremony for 2019 Formula 3 Asia Championship certified by FIA, Race 12. 女士们、先生们，现在进行2019国际汽联亚洲3级方程式锦标赛第12回合的颁奖仪式。Now let's welcome our top 3 drivers onto the podium. Winner of the race, car number 1 from High-Tech Grand Prix, Yukio Sasahara. 获得冠军的车手是来自 High-Tech GP 的1号车手 Yukio Sasahara. Second place, car number 2 from High-Tech Grand Prix, Jack Doohan. 获得亚军的车手是来自 High-Tech GP 的2号车手杰克·杜汉。Third place, car number 3 from Pinnacle Motorsport, Jordan Dempsey. 获得季军的车手是来自 Pinnacle Motorsport 的3号车手乔丹·邓普西。Now it's my honor to invite Mr. Wang Maocai, Assistant to General Manager of GT Tire Investment Company Limited, to present the trophy to first place. Now it's my honor to invite Mr. Benjamin Keel, CEO Asia Pacific of Eibach Springs Taicang Limited, to present the trophy to second place. Now it's my honor to invite Mr. Chang Liang, General Manager of Dixel China, to present the trophy to third place. Now let's have group photo.
So there's your podium for race number 12 of the 2019 F3 Asian Championship certified by FIA. Left of screen, Jack Doohan. Centre of screen, 8-time winner now, Ukyo Sasahara. Right of screen, Jordan Dempsey for the second time this year. He was on the podium in the final race at Suzuka. He's on the podium in the final race here for the first of the Shanghai race weekends. Again, we are back in 3 weeks' time to do it all over again. And I would expect a little bit of homework to do for the number 2 entry of Jack Doohan.
Now for the winners, it's
But you'd certainly take nothing away from his effort, nor that of Ukyo Sasahara. Well, he deserves a little bit of champagne for 3 straight wins, 3 poles, 3 fastest laps. It's been a real clean sweep for the Japanese driver this weekend. body language tends to suggest Jack's a little disappointed, but you would be. He came into the championship 8 points behind. He came into this round of the championship 8 points behind. He leaves 38 points behind provisionally as we go through to the Masters.
Now let's have
Result.
the award ceremony for Master Cup
And what a great
winners.
battle this has been. Although, having said that, we're getting closer and closer to Paul Wong being crowned the 2019 champion. Thomas Liudi for Black Arts Racing takes top honours, and Paul Wong in position number 2.
Motorsport. Paul Wong! Now it's my honor to invite Mr. David Digobi, General Manager of Top Speed Shanghai Limited, to present the trophy to Master Cup winners. Now let's have a group photo for Master Cup.
Another great result for, two good friends that battle hard. We saw that in race 2 this morning. Paul Wong right under the rear wing of Thomas Liudi coming out of turn 3. Thomas probably just may have caught Paul a little bit. Paul had to jump hard on the brakes. He had a spin as a result of that, and that dropped him a little bit further back, so no chance for him to I suggest that all the racing's done now for the weekend for Paul Wong. Of course, doing double duty with Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. And for Thomas Liudi, he'll be very happy with that. Another win in the books. That would be win number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the category for him. 4 wins for Paul Wong. And again, they have it all to do again in 3 weeks' time. Stay with us. We go through to the press conference for the drivers, and we will see you again in 3 weeks' time for the final 3 races of the 2019 F3 Asian Championship, certified by FIA.
The race 3 of Shanghai, round 4. Congratulations to the top 3 finishers. Ukyo, 3 out of 3. An amazing performance this weekend. 38 points ahead. It's going to be definitely an advantage going into the last round, but Jack is getting faster every session by the looks of it. And do you feel the pressure going into the last round for next in 3 weeks' time?
Yeah, first of all, I have to thank to all the high-tech members. They done a fantastic job through the weekend. And I knew that Jack is not really real pace this weekend. He struggled a bit, so. And the last round, I still have an advantage, but I think it's going to be very tough on the last one, and he's going to be very quick, and he's getting better in all the sessions. So, just try to keep your head down for the last one.
All right, thank you very much. Jack, you're clearly getting faster and faster. Did you feel the car was feeling better the last race? And do you think if you would have managed to break clear of Jordan, do you think you would have been able to follow Ukyo?
No, I didn't really have a better feeling then, unfortunately. I wish I did, but no, Jordan had good pace behind me. I was struggling to keep him behind, and just Ukyo did an awesome job all weekend. So credit to him, and we're struggling to try and find a connection with me and the car. So I'll be keeping working over the next 2 weeks and hopefully come back here on it.
All right. Thank you very much. Jordan, your second podium for the season. You seem to be having found a lot of pace and be able to match Jack. Where did you think you found this increase in pace?
To be honest, I don't really know. We tried a couple of things for the first 2 races, because first race we really struggled. It just had so much oversteer like you couldn't believe. But then the team, credit to them, they've been working really hard to try and fix the problem, and they've done it for this race, and the car was like on rails in that race. So if only I was able to get by Jack, but he was doing enough to keep me behind. So I have to say big thanks to the team, big thanks to CJ Motorsports for getting me here.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome to the press conference of the Masters class. Congratulations to the top two finishers. Thomas, you seem to have found quite a bit of pace. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, it was good. We saved a second set of tires for the last race, so I had a bit of advantage on the rubber. But also the car felt really good. I was feeling good, so I tried to take the battle to some of the guys ahead of me. It didn't quite match this time. I hope it's the last time.
Okay, thank you very much. Paul, you've been doing double duties this weekend. Must have been quite exhausting for you. How do you feel at the end of this weekend?
This weekend is really nice, very happy, but race speed is very tight. My number 9 car is very, very fast. It's okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.